Hello Ash, yes it is indeed race day, very exciting stuff, and we're not far from actual race day. We're only, what now, it's Tuesday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days away from the Bahrain Grand Prix. Very exciting stuff.
I don't know what you mean. These are the actual races, those are just side pieces.
Oh yeah, of course. The fun doesn't, the racing doesn't stop here, and that's why we're the real deal. You know?
Absolutely.
So distracted with messaging people on Discord, I didn't even realise we were getting started. Let me get the stream up then for everybody, and good evening everyone, and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2 for tonight's dose of racing action. I'm Sumo, your commentator this evening, and I'm joined as always by my amazing co-commentator Ghost. How are you doing, mate?
Hello there. Yeah, it's Tier 2 o'clock again. As we enter round 7, just 3 to go after this, and the championship's hotting up.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we stay in Europe for round 7 of the Tier 2 Championship for a race at the Hungaroring in Hungary. This 4.381 kilometre circuit hosts 14 corners, 8 to the right and 6 to the left. This circuit is well known for being difficult to overtake, and it's a very technical course for our drivers to navigate this evening. Qualifying may prove crucial to the drivers, as it could very well set up what is to come in the race. Any insights, Ghost?
Yeah, it's probably my worst track on the calendar, this one, on this year's game. Just can't get on with it. But it's certainly one that's going to test our drivers today. I'm sure there'll be some spins and some problems for drivers, especially in qualifying. And I'm looking forward to see who can keep it clean.
Yeah, certainly. So not too many drivers out on the grid this evening, which is a shame to see, but I'm sure the racing will be just as spectacular as always. We'll take a quick look over at the championship then, and the McLaren of Darth the Hillis takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship, just 2 points ahead of little Manny Man, who isn't here tonight, so he's going to drop down in the standings. The pair of them replace Lawrence and J-Man, who both failed to score last time out due to DNFs or not attending the race. 8 points separate the top 4, with Tyr and Femi both lurking 13 points behind the top 4 drivers. Tyr also isn't here, so he's going to drop down considerably, so there might be a few drivers out of contention towards the front. Certainly not out of contention though are the Red Bull duo, who continue to dominate the constructors, with Ferrari slowly creeping up on them as they look to take hold of their P2 in the Constructors' Championship. McLaren and Alfa Romeo jump ahead of the Mercedes and Alpine duos, and further down the rest of the teams continue to fight for their places in the Constructors' Championships. Any thoughts on our championship at the moment, guys?
Well, Tyr should get here. He's going to be joining during quali, so hopefully he will get here in time. But yeah, no little Manny Man today either, like you said, so that's quite a blow for Red Bull. They are leading the championship by quite a margin, It's what is the margin exactly? It's 49 points. 39 points, which is quite a margin. But if Ferraris can both finish the race today, because there's so few people on the grid today, they could eat into that lead.
Yeah, they certainly could, and I think it's going to be crucial these last four rounds, yeah, 4 rounds, this one included, for Ferrari to try and close in on the Red Bulls, and they'll be hoping for more sessions where they don't score any points or get themselves into high places on the grid. And Kraus has been on a great run of form, 3 podiums in the last 3 races. Then as we watch Lawrence make his way in towards sector 3 in the Mercedes. Ash says she loves the Hungary. I quite like the track, to be honest. It's a good challenge, although it is very difficult and can be frustrating at times. Hello Lifebout, welcome back, mate. And yeah, it is a shame it's a small field, but LB has just joined, and I think we're due Tier as well. But Lawrence coming across the line now to set the first lap time of the session. It's a 17.5 for the Mercedes. Not a bad time. Here comes Muhiti in the Alpine just behind. He's going to go even quicker. It's a 17.0.
Mr. J-Man right behind as well. Oh no, he spun at the final corner. Is that going to impede Matthias's lap? It might have distracted him a little bit in that McLaren, but he's not on a representative lap time anyway. But that's a shame for Mr. J-Man, our championship contender. Our championship leader, Darth Nihilus, is he on a lap right now? He's not on a competitive lap. So so it will be Crozer the next to come across the line in the Ferrari. See what he can do. It's Muhiti on pole at the moment.
Yeah, he's looking to set up the best exit possible. You've really got to carry as much speed for those final couple of corners around here. Focus on the exit. It's not going to be overly quick for Krauser, but it's going to see him into P3 with an 18.1. There's definitely some more time to be found. Can the other side of the Ferrari garage get themselves into that top place as they can? Front row for JBS Steve puts himself P2 to 17.2 for the Scuderia.
Here comes Femi in the Alfa Romeo, who's been on fantastic form in qualifying this season. Across the line he comes. Is it going to be anywhere near 17.4 from Femi? Just a few tenths off Muhiti. But I think Darth Nihilus is going to absolutely destroy those lap times with no contest when he gets to the checkered flag to set a lap time. He didn't obviously get to set a competitive lap time on his last attempt, but the next one, I think he's going to be well into the low 16s.
Yeah, certainly. So here comes the other McLaren then. It's Matthias, not the fastest lap. What a strange approach to qualifying, Matthias. Yeah. I've watched him a few times now in the last race and this one, and he just seems to drain all of that battery, and then it just doesn't give him the run he needs for the rest of the lap. It's a very odd approach, but you know, whatever floats your boat, as they say. Or in this case a Formula 1 car, if they do indeed float. And Darth Hillis are going even quicker this time around. A 17.4 for the McLaren, puts himself firmly in P4, not freed even, but it is very close at the moment between the top 5.
Well, Darth Hillis' lap in Tier 1 was a 16.8, but typically he's beaten his Tier 1 lap time in Tier 2 after some practice, so we'll see if we can do the same again today. Yeah, so clearly some more in the tank for Darth, but obviously that was his second lap on those tyres, so more to find.
Yeah, certainly so, and it's definitely quite the crucial qualifying session today. As I said previously, this track isn't the best at overtaking. I was doing a little 5-lap race just to make the thumbnail earlier, and you know, I was being blocked on lap 1 by 2 Alpines going 2 abreast through the majority of the track. I had nowhere to go. I was much faster than the pair of them, and I just couldn't make my way past. And it's a very narrow circuit, this one, and with it being so technical and twisty, it just makes it all the harder.
Absolutely. As LB is coming on to set his first lap time of the session. Tia did make it.
Outlap for LB.
Yeah, outlap for LB, so he's just going to start his lap. Yeah, Tia's in the session. He's about to set his first lap time of the session as well. Or start.
yeah, start his that time. But only 1 like on the stream so far. There's 8 of you watching, so please do pop a like on the stream. It really does help me out as it comes to my pursuit of commentating on virtual racing. Some of you, LB has left the session. Internet issues troubling LB once again. He won't be too pleased with that. Hopefully he can get himself back in, right back on board the tier then, so I was watching along with LB. But to get back to what I was saying, all the support does really help as I continue to branch out. Commentary as tier has gone for a spin just out of turn 4 at the moment. Oh, that's an easy place to lose it. Lucky to keep it out of the wall is the Williams at the moment. But yes, some of you may have, some of you at least in the APPF1 community may have seen me joining alongside with Zach Sweeney over JP Broadcasting for some GT3 action, which I'm thoroughly enjoying at the moment, and hopefully I'll be doing a little bit more racing that isn't Formula 1 over there, so I'll try and keep you guys in APP at least in the loop, but hopefully I'll be doing more and more commentary as we go along. Game crashed for LB, so no lag this time, but I'll be hoping he doesn't suffer from his lag out on pole position for the 2nd time running.
Third
time, yeah,
yeah.
I was going to say, yeah.
Lawrence coming to the end of his next lap. It was looking good. He was a purple sector 2. What's it going to be across the line? 17.1, just half a tenth away from Muhiti at the top. Darth Hillis on an outlap as well. JB is coming to the end of his outlap. Closer, also an outlap. Tia looks like he started a lap. Mr. J-Man as well, got to keep an eye on him because he is a championship contender, but I believe he's also on an outlap at the moment.
Yeah, I think he might have started a lap, but just had an issue on that run. I think Darth Hillis is on an outlap as well. So.
Yeah.
So drivers coming out for the 2nd run, so we are about halfway through qualifying now, so it does make sense. I think Lawrence has started, no, he's just finished the run actually, so it'll be Muhiti that we ride along board with in the Alpine. Alpine have been absolutely, well,
shocking.
I don't want to say, yeah, awful or shocking, but yeah, they've had, you look at that driver lineup, Ghost, and you think, these two, they did so well last season, both of them the top 2 drivers in the Drivers' Championship. You think, yeah, these guys are going to be a good shout for another championship and at the front of the grid, but it's the polar opposite. They've been absolutely pounded by just awful form, and there's got to be, something's got to give. And Muhiti spins again. Commentator's curse once again showing itself here in tier 2. I just got corrected by Zach Sweeney on the stream. It's not really commentator's curse, it's more like commentator's coincidence, if anything. But yes, Muhiti certainly not on the form that we've seen him on before, and well, like I say, something's got to give.
Certainly does. I mean, he is sitting in provisional pole at the moment, but he was another 2.5 tenths up before that spin. So there's more pace to find for Muhiti, and perhaps he can rake it back today, but it's the race form, like you say, it's just been lacking. Too many spins, too many errors from the pair of them, as Darth Nihilus beats him just about by 16 thousandths of a second. Femi Thrustmaster, I think, is starting a lap. Matthias finally set a lap time that's actually competitive, but still a fair way off Crozer, unfortunately. But Tier obviously yet to do a lap, as well as LB, and Mr. J-Man also yet to do a competitive lap time, clearly struggling around the streets of Hungary.
Yeah, certainly so. And Femi Thrustmaster 10th up in the 1st sector, coming through sector 2 now. This is the twisty technical part of the track, and this is where a lot of the lap time can be found here. But there's so many places where errors can just creep in, and that's where drivers are going to lose their pace. They're going to lose some concentration as well during the race, I think, as well. And some of these corners, like these last 2 here, they're very tricky, especially there's such long corners, a long left-hander, a long right-hander right after, which really punishes you on a bad exit.
So easy to spin around those corners. Femi's Glassmaster coming to the line. This could be good. Oh, wow. Only 1.5 tenths off pole, but he's 4th. And JB is only a further 13 thousandths behind that. He is in 5th place, just 0.17 from the pole position time. That has got to sting.
Yeah, certainly so, and it's just insanely close at the moment. About 3 tenths covering the top 6 now, no, top 5 even. Krauser could see himself creep a little closer, but we're watching Mr. J-Man. What can that Red Bull do is the question, as a bad qualifying here could spell trouble for J-Man, but he's going to go out and set a lap now. We'll keep an eye. I think he'll get himself nice and firmly in amongst that top 5, and we could have 6 cars all fighting it out for pole position potentially.
We could indeed. We're definitely going to get into the 16s at some point, but the question is when and who. As LB's coming through Sector 2, is he finally going to be able to set a lap time without disconnecting from the session? That's the question. He's coming through left, right now, and down towards this fast right-hander. You've got to be so committed through here, and he is, but too much on the curb. That's going to cost him a lot of time. 55.8 is off the pace, I believe, certainly for pole position. He comes through the final sector now, but he's just going to be happy to get a time on the board, I think, considering this session so far.
Yeah, I think he'll get one more run toward the end of the session, but LB, he's not a slow driver. He's definitely one to keep an eye on as we go further into this session. It's an 18.3 for now. That puts him P7 just behind Krauser there, and just ahead of the McLaren of Matthias, who's still out on circuit. He's peeling into the pit lane now, I think. Mr. J-Man is completing his lap, so the Red Bull then on course. It looks like a decent lap from J-Man. He's coming around that final corner very wide there as he goes along this. It's only a 17.8, so he goes behind Krauser as well. I think that error has cost him, and maybe this circuit not to the liking of J-Man.
Yeah, I think so, and that's a huge blow for his championship if that does indeed turn out to be the case throughout the race, because he's going to lose quite a few points on his rivals here. And yeah, he's
JBS Steve, 17-0. It's so close between them. I was watching him as you were talking there, goes thinking this could be the time to beat, and it is the time to beat now. J-Man in the JBS Steve, sorry, in the Ferrari, 17-0. Wow, incredible. Only a handful of hundredths of a second between the top 3. This is great stuff.
Amazing, 0.034, and then only another 700ths to Lawrence behind, and then another 600ths to Femi. It's so close between those top 5, and I do wonder if Krauser or Mr. J-Man or LB can get involved as well. Here, not able to set a representative lap time yet, unfortunately, but when he does set a lap time, he's usually alright in qualifying.
Yeah, he is. Tier's been on a run of decent form late. I think Mahiti is actually backing off.
Yeah,
he's aborted his lap at the moment. I think he's got Darth Hillis for company just behind him, so he's on an out lap as well. So I think we're going to start seeing the final runs of qualifying here. And it's looking like an incredibly close one. We've got 5 drivers, potentially 6, fighting it out towards the top. Do we see any outliers crop up and make some further places? We've gained a couple of drivers as well, so not as few cars as we thought we were going to have. Hopefully they can all see the checkered flag this evening, because I'm not sure we've had a race where everyone's finished yet in Tier 2.
I don't think we have. I'm going to have to dash off for a second. I've realised I forgot to do my tracking software, so I will be right back.
Gosh, goes for the technical difficulties. Well, not technical difficulties, just the personal difficulties, I suppose. If you want to call them that. I mean, I've forgotten to record again, so we're once again going to not have the stream on the APPF1 community channel, which is a shame. I do find it difficult to remember to do that, so I must try a bit harder next time. Right, let's find the lead driver then on these final runs of qualifying. Darth Mahillis making his way around. I think we're going to watch him. It'll be Mahiti straight after. So the McLaren making his way through the first sector. We watch as he approaches the Sector 1 timing line across there. 0.2 of a second up. Here's the McLaren, so this could be quick from Darth Nahillis, and he's purple to the first sector at the moment. Coming round turn 5 into this chicane now. It's a tricky, very tight chicane. The Mercedes getting out of the way. I think that's LB moving out of the way for the McLaren. Muhitti's had an issue at the exit of turn 5, it seems. That Alpine has stopped on the circuit. No yellow flag, strangely enough. But we continue to watch Darth Nihilus. Still purple, 0.4 of a second up is the McLaren, making his way around through sector 3 now. Just 2 more corners to navigate for that papaya orange car. And it's turn 13. Decent exit. Femi Frostmaster setting the exact same lap time as JBS Steve. And the meantime, but we're watching this McLaren. This is the man who's going to beat them both. I think a 1:16 is imminent, and it is. It's a 16.5 from the McLaren, faster than his tier 1 lap time. I think Lawrence is just behind him. No, it's LB actually, but we watch Tier now in the Williams come around the final corner.
Knew that was coming from Darth, but that is one heck of a time. But I think it's all about who's going to get P2. Crozer has retired at turn 4. It looks like just a bit too much throttle, trying to get too much time, but I think he'll be okay. Mr. J-Man's on the lap as well. Lawrence is coming through sector 2. He was a 10.5 up in sector 1, but that's very wide through that right-hander. That's going to cost him quite a bunch of time all the way down here. Still only a 10th up in sector 2, so he's not going to be challenging for pole, but could he get himself onto the front row?
Could we see another lap time in the 17.0s or into the 16s perhaps? Lawrence, the final corner to navigate for the Mercedes, focusing on that exit best as he can, approaching up to the line. Now it's a 16.9, so it's the front row for Lawrence in the Mercedes. I think I think there's a LB is next. He's 6/10 up on his previous, so I'm not sure if that's going to put him in amongst the top 6.
Oh,
but
no!
And he's hit the Alfa Romeo. What has happened there?
Femi Frostmaster, he is in deep trouble for that one. That is all his own doing. Mr. J-Man's on the lap. He's 4.5 tenths up, so keep an eye on him. He could get himself just above Crozer, or maybe he can get himself into the top 5. Who knows? Let's see. Down towards the line he goes. It's a 16.7. What a lap for Mr. J-Man. Gets himself on the front row. Maximum pressure, and he delivers. Fantastic.
Wow, Femi Frostmaster, all that hard work is not going to pay off. He's been disqualified from the session for that collision with LB. So his lap time will have been deleted, and he's going to move down toward the back of the grid. But wow, we've got Darth Nihilus, our championship leader, might I add, and Mr. J-Man and Lawrence, the two men who've been leading the championship on and off for the rest of the season, and positions 2 and 3 as well. We've got 3 potential champions all toward the front of the grid. This could be quite the race. So let's run you through the finishing order in qualifying. Then Darth Nihilus puts it on pole position then for the McLaren team, with Mr. J-Man on the front row for company. Lawrence then is going to be line up in P3, with JBS Steve completing row number 2. Muhitti and Krauser share the third row together, and Tier and LB in position 7 and 8. Rounding off the rest of the grid then is Matthias, with Femi Frostmaster being disqualified after a late collision in qualifying.
Femi's confused in the chat, but I mean, well, unless there was a technical issue, the fact is that he blocked LB when he was on a lap. LB's going to be very, well, he's not going to be happy about that. He could have got himself into the top 6 at least, but that will be your quali as the, I believe, let me just double check before I say something stupid, but oh yeah, okay, Lil Manny Man is second, but obviously he's not here today, so effectively the top 3 in the championship are 1, 2 and 3 in that order.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the race. I'm going to take my jumper off. It's getting a little bit warm inside the commentary box this evening, and oh, there's some T-posing mechanics. That's interesting.
Yeah, I had that in ESRL last week. It was great. It's got to break some sort of FIA regulation.
Yeah, maybe it's a new warm-up exercise for the mechanics at the moment. But I think Aston Martin are the only team who don't have their mechanics out T-posing on the grid. So I don't know. I can't really tell. It's difficult to see. But let's have a quick look in the chat then. Lifeboat saying Tier 2 Singapore was a year ago today. I'm not sure exactly what you're on about, Lifeboat, but I'm sure it was significant if you're bringing it up. Yeah, same lap time. That was astonishing. We don't always see it, but it is very exciting when it does pop up as well. Ash says, "Oh wow, here comes Darth with an extra half a second on everyone." Yeah, we saw that one coming, I think. It's been spit roasted by Codemasters and Femi, says LB. Something a bit eager there. What's going on?
What is going on? Good question. LB was the one who was eager, so I think that is lag that has broken the session somehow.
They might be due a restart here.
It might be. LB has left the session. Is that going to start the formation lap? Yes, it is. Okay. I figured as much. What on earth is going on with LB's internet?
I don't know.
He never used to have these problems, so I do not know what's happened. I think you need to get on with your internet provider, mate, and give them a taste of, well, a taste of your wrath.
Yes. Ruining his sim racing experience by giving him an awful internet connection. But we'll take a look at the strategies then for the race this evening, and it's a majority swing towards the medium compounder tyre, with only 3 drivers opting for the hards. Those drivers being Daphne Hillis, Lawrence, and Matthias. So McLaren opting for that longer first stint, along with Lawrence, and J-Man is going to be the more aggressive one in the top 3 drivers, so a split strategy between the top 3, more or less, with then JBS Steve, Mahiti, Krauser, Tier, LB and Femi all on those medium tyres, so expect to see the hard runners maybe struggle a little bit.
The medium is the right choice around here, especially an early safety car kind of destroys you if you're on hards, but I think Daphne Hillis is in a decent position, because even if he gets stuck behind Mr. J-Man, he's got Lawrence in 3rd, who's on the hards as well, so he will have that buffer still, unless Lawrence also gets overtaken by the medium runners behind him, and he could well do. So it's going to be an interesting first couple of laps, I think this is.
Yeah, I think so as well. Jack says, please no reports today, I beg. Well, it's a bit late for that, Jack. We've had quite the incident in qualifying, but I think with my own stewarding knowledge it will be a slam dunk for that one, depending on the situation. But hopefully the camera's going to change. I hate that you can't like select the camera or do anything. Like the spectator mode really needs to be changed a bit, I think. But we know Codemasters, they won't do that, but we're going to get some red lights on the grid now. I can't really get a great view of the grid, and once again we've got issues on the start.
We're off.
We're underway for the Hungarian Grand Prix here in APPF1 Tier 2, and it looks like a great start from Lawrence in the Mercedes. He's already challenging Daphne Hillis, who has dropped back, and J-Man is in the lead of this race. The Alpine of Mahiti trying to find a way through as well. The Ferrari squabbling with the Alpine as well. No changes for that Alpine, but Lawrence and Daphne Hillis side by side as they run down towards turn number 2 at the moment, making their way through it at the moment. They're still side by side through into turn 3 now. Around the outside goes the McLaren, still side by side. This could be risky stuff as we head up into the high speed turn 4, but the McLaren gets ahead as Lawrence yields the position still. All over the back, and there's contact, and the Hillis is sent round. Oh, that could be a report for the stewards and Jack, so no luck for you, buddy. But Daphne Hillis, P2 all the way down to P9.
Oh yeah, Darth's not going to be happy about that, and he's now 6 seconds behind on the hard tyres. He's going to be fuming, but it was Lawrence didn't mean to. He was just not expecting Darth to be slow on entry to turn 5, especially after the contact, but it's his responsibility not to hit him, I think. And Mr. J-Man, it's a dream start for the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, this couldn't have gone any more perfectly for him. He's already got 2.3 seconds of a gap at the moment on those medium tyres. Lawrence is going to be looking at a penalty, I think, as well. So this could really shift the driver standings once this race is all over. But we've still got 34 laps to navigate as we take a look at the strategy. It's a 1-stop, then medium to hard, and I think that's what all the drivers will be going on. Although the 2-stop of a soft medium. Medium is an option, but nobody's starting on the soft tyres. But Muhiti finds himself in a podium position. Could this be a comeback for the Alpine?
I really hope so. He deserves one. He deserves a comeback. It's been a dismal season for him so far. I haven't just cursed him, but we will see. Tier also got a good start, but Femi from the back of the grid after the qualifying incident hasn't deterred him. He's up 4 spots and he's in P6.
Yeah, we've got a train of cars forming. It's all aboard the Lawrence train. We've got Lawrence, Muhiti, Krauser, Tier, and Femi Fussmaster all chasing behind, with Matthias and JBS Steve having their own little fight a little bit further back. LB has, for the 3rd time in a row, been disqualified at the beginning of the race. He really does need to get that internet sorted out. But look who's creeping around in P4 at the moment. Krauser, the man who has found himself on the podium 3 times in the last 3 races, and could be in for one as well if anything were to happen to the top 3.
Absolutely. Well, JB is stuck behind Matthias at the moment, which is giving Darth Nihilus a huge favour. Look how much time he's caught in the last lap, 2.5 seconds on his teammate and JB. But JB gets past as now Tier and Krauser side by side into turn 1. Tier around the outside, Krauser down the inside, late on the brakes. Keeps it together, and that's great stuff from the Ferrari. Tier could be back again at turn 2, but I don't think he's going to try it.
Oh, there goes the Alfa Romeo diving to the inside, but that door closed on him, and Femi's been sent round, and I think Tier might have gone round as well. No, he's continued on. I couldn't quite see on the camera angle there. Muhiti challenging into turn 4 at the moment on Lawrence. Doesn't quite make a way through in that corner. That's a stiff round the outside. Krauser's gone round in the Ferrari. Oh, it's all kicking off here on lap 3.
It certainly is. It's Krauser down to P8 and Femi down to P9 and now up to P8 after Krauser. I don't know if there was contact between himself and Tier, but I didn't catch the Femi incident, so what happened there, Sumo?
It looked like Femi went for it along the inside, but the Tier tried to take the racing line, and just a light bit of contact unsettled the front of that Alfa Romeo, and around he went, and I think the stewards room are going to be quite busy there. I think you've jinxed yourself, Jack, to be honest.
Well, Darth Nihilus right back in the race now already. He's already only less than a second nearly behind his teammate, and then there's not far up to JB and then up to Tier and the rest. As Muhiti now on Lawrence down the inside into turn 1. Can he make the move stick in the Alpine? Lawrence has to give him room, and yes, very nicely done from Muhiti, and Lawrence down to P3 on those hard tyres. Obviously he's going to be on the mediums later for a very fast stint, but Mr. J-Man 6 seconds is the lead now.
Yeah, and starting on the mediums was definitely the best way to go, and Muhiti's going to have to try and make the best of them and break away from Lawrence. Tier could go on the attack. Oh, was that a mistake from Lawrence there? Was that a bit of a squirrely moment? I couldn't quite see. It was between camera cuts, but he's all over the place at the moment in that Mercedes. What's going on? Lawrence is now going to be coming under some pressure from Tier as well as they come into Sector 2 now, and Lawrence not looking too great on those hard tyres.
Yeah, he's really not enjoying those tyres, is he? Hold on, Sumo. I've got live microphone feed from Mr. J-Man's team radio. It's don't bottle it, don't bottle it, don't bottle it, don't bottle it, don't bottle it. That'll be what he's thinking at the moment. But that gap is reducing quite fast. Muhiti has got some good race pace in that Alpine. Now he's passed Lawrence, and he's already caught half a second on the Red Bull.
Yeah, he does, although the difference being that Muhiti has half the amount of battery that J-Man does, so that's going to really play into the hands of J-Man, and he's broken away from Lawrence as he's wanted to. Matthias has spun around once again toward the final corner, really not enjoying his time out there. Is the other McLaren, although Darth Nihilus is on quite the comeback drive at the moment. He's up in P6. He's battling away with Femi Fussmaster at the moment. These two have had some great battles on track in recent memory, and I'm sure they'll be wanting to continue that trend at the moment, as Tier is putting the pressure on Lawrence now, while Muhiti closes down that gap to P1.
Certainly is. Oh, Tier, a big snap of oversteer there out of turn 4. What a brilliant bit of car control to save it there, but it's lost him over a second in time to Lawrence, and he's got to be careful not to spin it again in the next few corners. And there goes his DRS, and I think he's going to be out of range for at least a long while, especially if he does that. What a save again by Tier. Just got too much of that curb, but he is riding on the edge, is the Williams driver at the moment, as JB gets past him as a result.
Yeah, those tyres might be a little bit over temperature at the moment for Tier, so he's going to have to try and keep it calm and cool them down just a little bit after those couple of incidents, but great to keep it out of the wall on those occasions, especially at the corners that he went at.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, Lawrence could have a penalty from the stewards after, so we've got to keep that in mind as Darth keeps his comeback drive going. Femi's in DRS range, but he's not close enough to make a move on the McLaren as it stands. Matthias into the pits already. I'm not sure quite what that's for, but Matthias no stranger to odd strategies in Tier 2 so far. I hope he doesn't mind me saying. Yeah, it looks like the main battle on track is Femi and Darth at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we do like an odd strategy here in Tier 2. Who was it last season on the intermediate tyres? They're just obviously wrong times. I cannot remember the driver's name for the life of me. But I do remember commenting every now and again about the odd choice to go onto an intermediate tyre.
Oh, Lawrence has spun!
Lawrence has spun!
Oh no, disaster! And he's going to lose the place to JB, who goes round the outside. And Lawrence has got to get back in the right mindset now. Those hard tyres really proving a struggle for the Mercedes as he tries his best to get back on terms, but could be a huge blow to championship points, that could.
Yeah, it really could, and he might lose a lot to J-Man at the moment. He's within the DRS range though, so he's got plenty of room to go. But I was just about to comment on JBS Steve, actually. He's another driver that has just seen a shift in his form this season. But in the days where he was in the Alpha Tauri alongside Jamie F1, he was a driver up there now and again, although he wasn't shy of bottling it every now and again. But he was certainly impressive, and we could see the other Ferrari on the podium here today, guys.
Oh, it's Muhitti's now spun! Muhitti at turn 5!
Muhitti.
That's another victim of the Hungaroring, and he's got to let everyone else through. Be careful not to get yourself disqualified, Muhitti. The game can be like that sometimes, but it's another spin for Muhitti at a crucial time. And this is starting to become a pattern, I'm afraid to say, this season. It's just not worked, and the driver who was just 1 point away from a driver's championship last season, it's just, this season couldn't have gone more wrong.
Moment at, I think that's turn 11, as Daphne Hillis and Femi have moved back through, so back up to P4 is Daphne Hillis now, and I think consistency is going to be king here at the Hungaroring, as we're seeing so many drivers make errors that are costing them places, and I think we're going to be in for a few more of those.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, it's someone's race to lose now. Mr. J-Man, 12 seconds is his lead. And I mean, those voices, don't bottle it, getting stronger and stronger. I mean, there's a long way to go in this race, and obviously a safety car would wipe out that lead straight away, but he's got to be feeling good in that cockpit at the moment.
Yeah, he does. He's going to be feeling comfortable. He knows he can not get complacent, but certainly relax a little bit. He's got the gap now. He can really control the race from here, and sort of choose when to go in for a pit stop and what to do, as he's got nobody really pressuring him at the moment, and he's all of his rivals as well. You know, they've had incidents on the first few laps. They've had incidents a little bit further on, and Lawrence, you know, struggling on those hard tyres. And yeah, J-Man has just got to keep it going. He's got a long way left to go at the moment. You know, 35 laps isn't all that long. It's a 70-lap Grand Prix in real life. Yeah, or 71 lap maybe. I don't know. I can't I'm pretty sure it is 70 because it's a 50% race. But anyway, it's definitely still plenty of time left in this race. We've not even reached the pit stop window yet.
Absolutely, he's got to keep his cool. Just drive his own race like it's a practice session, really, and just make sure not to spin. That's going to be the key, because I don't think that 12-second lead is going to be under any threat at all unless he spins.
Yeah, for sure. And he's going to have some drivers who will want to capitalise on it, but that gap could also help him. I mean, he might not lose the place, but he'll definitely come under pressure once he does find a way to rejoin the track. We've got two battles heating up here. We've got a battle for the two remaining places on the podium. JBS Steve and Lawrence fighting away for P2 and 3, and Daphne Hillis is he's not looked under threat, but he's got Femi Thrustmaster just lurking in the background in that Alfa Romeo, and any mistakes, and I think that Femi will be all over the McLaren.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the mediums are starting to lose out to the hards pretty soon. But Lawrence, I've just been riding on board with him for this lap, and he just looks very nervous out of the traction zones. He just doesn't seem like he's really got the car under control. And I think, if I had to hazard a guess, Sumo, because I made this mistake as well on Friday in Tier 1, I would guess his tyre pressures are too high, because if your tyre pressures are anywhere above sort of 1 or 2 clicks from the left on this track, you are going to have a bad time as soon as the tyres get within sort of medium wear. And just looking at how Lawrence is driving, I would hazard a guess that that's what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. And he just looks very squirrely, doesn't he? And
yeah,
doesn't quite trust the grip as he gets into those traction zones, or enters the traction zones, I should say. And that's going to cost him. I think JB's coined onto that perhaps in that Ferrari, I suppose, and is just going to feel a little bit safer in that, knowing with that knowledge, I suppose. With Lawrence just struggling, and you can see as the time slip away, especially through sector 2. Look, it's almost dropped beyond the second.
And now here come Daphne Hillis and Femi. 1.3 seconds is the gap to Lawrence. 1.2. It's getting closer by the second as Lawrence falls out of the 1 second range of JB. No DRS on that Mercedes. He is in trouble as Daphne Hillis is nearly in range.
Yeah, he is, and this could be a eyes front to an eyes back situation now for Lawrence, and he's got a little bit closer. There's a double DRS zone here. I know your opinions on double DRS zones, Goat, but I think this one in particular isn't as impactful as say Mexico.
No, I don't mind this one, to be honest. I think this is, when you're going to put in a double DRS zone, this is the way to do it. It's because it's a hard enough track to overtake anyway, and if you get past into turn 1, I think you deserve to keep the place. Muhitti's retired. That could be a safety car. That could be Mr. J-Man's lead gone. It is. Mr. J-Man's going to be gutted with that as Muhitti loses it out of turn 3. Mr. J-Man 12 seconds to 0.
But this is going to give him a free pit stop, and it's really going to be a head scratcher for Lawrence and Daft. I'd expect them to stay out on this tyre and try and go a little bit further, or they take a risk, and Lawrence has done this before, and go on the mediums and go to the end, which I don't think Lawrence is going to want to experience that again after Japan.
Well, the mediums will go to the end, but they're going to be in puncture territory, like you say.
Lawrence is in.
Yeah, he is in.
Out.
Darth stayed out, so he's going to lead the race, is he? Yes, he is. Mr. J-Man's just exiting, so Darth leads the Hungarian Grand Prix from Mr. J-Man. Both of them on hards, but obviously J-Man on much better hards. JBS Steve just exiting as well. Lawrence onto the mediums. He's going to try it. He's going to get flashbacks of Japan, but he is trying this. Yeah, he obviously lost out on a lot of points the race after that fateful day in Japan by pitting unnecessarily in desperation of avoiding another puncture. So perhaps he's thinking about that again, and he doesn't want to lose out when he could have gained. Yeah,
I think he may have learned from that, or he may come in towards the end, or it could prove not to be too much of an issue. There might be another safety car. There's still plenty of time, and this track is rather notorious for the odd safety car period or two. But yeah, Lawrence definitely going to be dealing with that monkey on his back, I suppose, if you want to call the shots like that. And it's going to be quite an interesting watch to see what he does. Does he commit to those medium tyres and trust that they're not going to blow in the final few laps like they did in Japan, or does he pit onto some tyres like he did the race after?
Yeah, indeed. So the field closes up. Crozer, I think he pitted back onto the hards, or did he not pit? I'm not sure. But I mean, I can find out. Pit stops. He has one stop, so he didn't pit again, which makes sense. He doesn't want to go on the mediums all the way to the end, unlike Lawrence. So he's just going to stay out and see what happens for now. But Darth Nihilus, well, I reckon there's going to be at least a couple more spins before the end. But I mean, if that doesn't happen, if everyone keeps it clean, Darth Nihilus could be in big trouble here. He's still got to stop, and if he can't get a gap to Mr. J-Man, if he can't pull away, then he's going to be in real trouble after the pit stop. He's going to be a long way back.
Yeah, he is, and I don't know, yeah, but it's all going to depend if another safety car comes out, I suppose, for Darth, because that could give him a chance to get a free pit stop himself and get onto the medium tyres. But you know, other drivers could do that as well. I mean, J-Man could just go back onto the medium tyre. You get 2 sets now after the update from a few months ago. So you know, there's options for all the drivers out there, and maybe even the soft tyres toward the end. I'm not sure what the tyre wear is like around this circuit, but it's certainly always a mix-up in strategy when a safety car does come out. Mediums would make it, says Lifebound in the chat, so some insights there.
Yeah, but that's Lifebound.
Yeah, very true.
I mean, he would say, yeah, softs will make it. Yeah. It's nonetheless, it is going to be a challenge for Lawrence to get those to the end. Safety car is in this lap, so Darth Nihilus is going to lead us to the line. He decides when to go. Mr. J-Man is going to be wanting to get past the McLaren as soon as possible on his fresher hard tyres, because he wants to restore the lead that he once had.
Yeah, and Lawrence on the mediums as well. He'll be wanting to try and clear JBS Steve if he can, and maybe challenge Darth and J-Man, but the safety car's in the pit lane, so anytime now, really for the McLaren. He's leaving it fairly late.
Oh,
but he's got it spun!
Oh, front wing has gone. He's bottled it. And Darth Nihilus all the way down to last place with no front wing. It's a disaster for the championship leader.
Thrust to the right down the inside of JBS Steve. Lawrence has made his way past the Ferrari, and now it's side by side for Ferrari and Alfa Romeo, and it's still close going down towards turn 3 at the moment. And here comes Tier going down the inside of the Ferrari now. It's close between the two of them. Space and respect given before both of the drivers. Side by side they go down the hill now, in towards the end of sector 1 at the moment, up towards turn 4. Matthias making a look as well at the moment, but JBS Steve keeps the Williams behind him for the very moment.
Oh, it's all happened at the start, the restart from the safety car. The championship leaders bottled it as JBS Steve already over a second behind Femi, but he's got Tia and Matthias and Crozer for company. JB got a lot of work to do here as Femi and Lawrence now chase after Mr. J-Man, and Lawrence is going to want to get past straight away here. Here on lap 14, a long way to go on those mediums, but he wants to make it count.
Yeah, it's just going to be a huge shame for Darth Nihilus. He finds himself once again miles away, and he's going to be even further with a wing change and a pit stop. So, commiserations for the McLaren, really. We were talking about his strategy, and he's got no choice but to stop now. But it's going to be familiar faces, 2 drivers who have been at the top of the standings for the last few races. Lawrence is barreling down towards turn 1, looks to the inside, thinks better of it for the time being, not quite close enough, has a little sniff around the outside, using the better grip of the tyre. He's all up in the diffuser of that Red Bull at the moment, but he's got no way through, has a little sniff on the inside again, in towards turn number 2, but no way through for the Mercedes at the moment. Mercedes and Red Bull fighting once again. Lawrence and Mr. J-Man fighting for a Championship. Here he comes up towards the inside of turn 4. This is brave stuff, and it's contact. I think that was always going to happen between the two of them. That will be up in the steward's room for sure. So I hope you're ready for a busy night, Jackalacko. But Lawrence is going to be rejoining the track, and he's going to be well out of contention at the moment as Femi Thrustmaster now finds himself thrust into the battle quite fittingly for P1.
Oh wow, yeah, the two championship rivals have collided. It's true championship motorsport drama. That's what, well, we don't want to see contact, but we like the drama, don't we, Sumo? We do like it, as it is going to be in the steward's room, but Mr. J-Man has the lead. Lawrence all the way down to 7th, but he'll be at least pleased to see that Darth Nihilus is a further 46 seconds down the road.
Yeah, he certainly will, but yeah, we do love some drama here, especially in the championship. You know, we watched Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen have their moments, and it's always great. You know, all the greatest champions really have moments like that, don't they? Senna and Prost and Max and Lewis and Hakkinen and Schumacher as well, I suppose. They've had a few moments. Hill and Schumacher. So many moments in Formula One, and we get them here in the virtual world, as well as Femi Thrustmaster putting the pressure on Mr. J-Man.
Here also putting the pressure on that Ferrari in front of him. Matthias gets the first track limits penalty of the day. I'm sure it won't be the last. As like you say, Femi putting the pressure on the Red Bull. Tier is right there on JB. This is a battle for the win and a battle for the podium as well, as Crozer is currently going to be frustrated, I think. He's stuck behind this McLaren on very old medium tyres, who's got a penalty as well. And he's lost 2 seconds to the pack, so he's not going to be best pleased with the position he's found himself in here.
Oh, very close to the back of the braking zone is Krauser there. I've just clocked onto that as it happened. But yeah, Ferrari really need to try and maximise their points in every race going forward if they're going to try and catch up to Red Bull, especially if they're going to be one car down more often than not.
Here comes Femi.
Femi making a move in towards turn 1, has a look around the outside as J-Man goes defensive. No way through for car number 50 at the moment, maybe looking towards turn 2 at the minute as they come down towards the hill, but it's only a short run in the DRS and no way through for the Alfa Romeo thus far. He's just going to sit back and have to charge that battery up a little bit, as well as the fight for P3 continues to erupt right now as well. Lawrence has caught onto the back of Krauser now, they've both navigated their way around the McLaren, and it's not going to be side by side into turn 4 again. He's just let him through, actually.
Yeah, doesn't want to fight him. Maybe, well, I'm not sure. Matthias went round at turn 1, so I'm not sure if there was contact between himself and Krauser to cause that, but that's how they both got through. But now Lawrence up to P5 in the Mercedes, as Darth Nihilus sets the fastest lap at the back, but 33 seconds behind the pack.
Yeah, he's going to be hoping, praying for a safety car to come out to get himself back in the race and maybe get some more points than what P8 would offer him. But for now, he's just going to have to sit back and try and reel in his teammate at least. He's definitely got the pace to do it as Darth Nihilus, but will he have the laps to do it? Who's for certain? But again, Femi having a look to the inside this time. He had really thought about it, but he just sort of backed out as you could see him sort of deliberating as the wheel was sort of moving along and looking to the inside once more. Is the Alfa Romeo still no way past at the moment? Don't be too wasteful of that battery, Femi Thrustmaster, is what I'll say to you. Just remind J-Man that you're there. Keep in these mirrors. Keep the pressure on him. He might make a mistake, and it might invite you for the better run. Just observe the car ahead, see where he's making the errors, and capitalise on those, and save some battery in the meantime.
Darth is doing what he has to do. Another fastest lap. He just wants to get that extra point at least, even if he does only finish 8th or 7th. If he can catch his teammate, I think he will catch his teammate. Femi Thrustmaster still putting that pressure on, like you say, but he's got to be careful with that ERS usage. And Tier also still putting the pressure on JB. And if the top 2 fight, then these 2 will suddenly be in the conversation for the race win as well, as we hit the halfway point of this race.
I love Tier 2. It's just such a great championship. Every season there's something to talk about. But here comes Femi once again. Awful camera view from Codemasters. Codemasters not being the driver of the day this week. But Femi Fussmaster almost barging his way through. That's just hard racing, I think. But Femi Fussmaster leads this race. And he's going to have to fend off J-Man. He might struggle as well. Thanks, Ash. Yes, do pop a like on the stream. Only 5 likes at the moment, 6 people watching. So if you are watching and enjoying the race, and why wouldn't you be enjoying a race? We've got quite the barnstormer here for everybody this evening. And yeah, lol, Codemasters driver of the day, never. But yes, do put a like on the stream. All the support does go a very long way. As we watch now, we've got a 3-car race. Something's happened to Tier, obviously.
Yeah, I think he must have made a mistake because lost 2 seconds to JBS Steve and out of that DRS range, but JB has quickly fallen out of range of the top 2 as well. So we'll see if that transpires. Lawrence gets himself a 3-second time penalty as well as another track limits penalty. I'm sure there'll be more to come on this track. It's very easy to get them at places like turn 4. But on to lap 20 now. Femi leads the race. He's in this championship fight as well, don't forget. He's only 13 points down. So it's far from over for the championship for the Cameroonian driver. And Mr. J-Man is going to want to stay in that DRS range at least.
Yeah, he is, and he's just gonna. I mean, he's got very little ERS left as well. JBS Steve might find himself creeping in if he can just drive conservatively and hope that those 2 fight ahead of him. And he could be in contention for a race win here. JBS Steve he's in the right prime position at the moment. But at the moment, it's Femi Fussmaster leading all of our drivers around. Our closest battle on track is between the top 2. That's what we love to see in motorsport, when the drivers at the front are fighting and fighting hard.
Absolutely, but they've both got low ERS, so it's going to be a struggle for either of them to make any sort of move. With a long way to go in this race, of course, but it's tough to save up ERS around here without losing out. So we'll see if any of them can beat the other in. I think it's going to be the ERS saving game here, as it does look like Femi is faster through the final sector as well, which is a real difficulty for Mr. J-Man, because that's just when you need to be faster than the car ahead to get a chance at an overtake into turn 1.
Yes, certainly. That looked like a tidy exit from Mr. J-Man on that occasion, but it's not going to draw him all that much closer as he looks to find a way past. Gets very close in the braking zone though, but then Femi Fussmaster just getting a slightly better exit on the turn 1 there, and looks to the inside. He's very confident on the brakes, is Mr. J-Man at the moment in that Red Bull. Car number 7 doing a great job to apply the pressure to the Alfa Romeo. You say they might struggle, Ghost, but I think I think they've got some pace in those cars. I mean, they're dropping JBS Steve a little bit now, and he's not really catching back up. And look, Tier's closing in on that Ferrari as well, so he's not quite out of this race yet at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Femi a lot more confident than J-Man through turn 4. J-Man obviously desperate not to bottle it with the championship on the line, but Femi just driving the car straight through turn 4, slicing it with a knife, and Mr. J-Man very cautious, not hitting the curb. So interesting to see the differences in driving style caused by where they are in the standings. But Tier is now within DRS range of JBS Steve, so this battle is back on for P3, and Darth Nihilus has also caught up to his teammate who must have had some problems. He's really dropped off the back of Crozer, who, by the way, I think there was contact between Crozer and Matthias to cause the spin for the McLaren, because I'm sure Crozer has damage as Matthias spins again, and that's Darth up to P7. But yeah, I think Crozer might have damage. He's really dropping off in a way that he wasn't before the Matthias spin.
It's a shame. It's going to be an end to his podium streak at the moment.
Yeah.
We said he's never had a streak of podiums in Tier 2 until very recently, and that's going to end today, sadly. But at least it will be a possible podium for the Ferrari, or could it go the way of the Williams at the moment as they battle again? Tier has closed back up on that Ferrari, and it's going to reignite this battle in these dying stages of the race. Now we've got, let's say, 14 laps left to go, including this one. So we've still got plenty of racing to have, but there's battles for the top 4 positions. It's always great to see.
Absolutely. Lawrence has really dropped off, by the way, from the top 4. Well, he's not catching them really as quickly as you'd expect him to, if at all. So I think already those mediums starting to struggle, and he's got to do another 14 laps on them. So we might see him pit before the end, and go on to another set of tyres, and then get Darth Nihilus, because if he does pit, he would end up behind his rival.
Yes, he would, but he would at least be on those fresher tyres, and he would be safe, well, or feel a lot safer driving around the circuit at the moment. Again, J-Man, it seems he's got the pace in that final sector to close up, or at least in those first couple of corners. He's got the confidence going in. With the DRS on his side as well. Tyr gets a 3-second time penalty now in his battle. That's not going to help him fight away for that final place on the podium with JBS Steve. He'll hope that the Ferrari gets a penalty as well. TRS winning the battle for ERS at the moment. Tyr winning the battle for ERS. TRS, I don't know where that came from, to be honest. But Tyr winning the battle for ERS at the moment. He's got 41% in the tank compared to the other 3 drivers in the top 4 who are all below 20% or so at the moment. JB a little bit more to give, but he's going to come under some pressure here. Tyr's very close. We could see a move in towards turn 1 from the Williams. He's got a great exit as the Williams. He's going to be really, really close. This is a good chance for a move to the inside. Goes JBS Steve, goes defensive, but it's not going to do much. I think Tyr's going to be ahead before the braking zone, and he is. And that was a very clean-cut move from the Williams. He's now got to break away from JB, who seems to me is struggling for some pace.
Yeah, I think so. Tyr's definitely got the pace on him, and definitely has the potential to clear those 3 seconds from the Ferrari. But I was just wondering, is that what he uses, the TRS? Is that what he uses when he spins, the Tyr recovery system?
Yeah, possibly. That's probably where he used those couple of occasions. Quickly press the Tyr recovery system and, to stop the car from going into the wall. As Tyr does love a little bottle once again, but he's been on some decent form recently, and it's been good to see because he is a great driver. I've had some great battles with Tyr over my time, but behind the wheel at least. I remember back to Austria, I fought along with Tyr a few times, and in the Sprint Championship, I've had some great fights with him, and it's great to see him out there at the front. I think where he belongs for the most part, fighting away with the rest of the drivers.
Yeah, he's done well. Lawrence is into the pits. He is not confident of getting to the end on those mediums. So it'll be another set of mediums for him, but he will end up behind Darth Nihilus, I think, and a new wing for the Mercedes. I'm not sure when he broke that, but that could be explain.
It's going to be close.
Yeah, that could explain his pace deficiency. It will indeed be close. I think he is going to be ahead, actually, of the McLaren, which is going to be crucial, but he's got that 3-second penalty to contend with as well.
Yeah, and he's got to warm up those tyres as well before, and there's Darth Nihilus just in the background there as the Mercedes makes his way out. So he could close up then. We'll keep an eye on these two. As the championship leader is way down in 7th right now, possibly putting Lawrence under some pressure on his outlap at the moment, but he's not within the DRS at the minute. So Lawrence has got plenty of time to warm up those tyres. Meanwhile, JBS Steve staying within the second of Tyr at the moment, and he's going to need to do that at the moment. If the race were to finish right this second, he would finish in P3 because of that penalty that Tyr has. So Tyr really does need to break away, and that's going to become more and more important as the laps continue to deplete.
You're absolutely right. Don't forget as well, Darth still has to do another 10 laps on those medium tyres, which would take them to 20 laps. It is definitely, you can definitely do it, but they're going to be really hurting those tyres at the end of this race. And I think it's really wishful thinking, thinking that he can beat Lawrence here. even with that 3-second penalty. But obviously Lawrence has had more than one spin today.
Yeah, he has. Not the race he would have envisioned coming into this evening's session. But that's just the way it is sometimes in motorsport. We continue to watch J-Man and Femi Frustmaster. They've been at it for the last 5, 6, 7 laps. I can't really remember. I wasn't really keeping count. Watching the action has been my prerogative at the moment. But Mr. J-Man staying with Femi Frustmaster. He's doing a great job to keep him at bay at the moment, it must be said. He's not really bottling under the pressure, he's just driving. That's what you've got to do. You've just got to go out and drive. And speaking of just driving, Tier's doing that as well. He's finally dropped JB out of that DRS, and that could be crucial. But he's closing back in. Is he going to get DRS down the main straight at the moment? I don't think so. So the Ferrari gonna struggle now to stay with that Williams.
Yeah, just barely out of range there for JB. Obviously with the double DRS zone, he's not going to get a chance to regain it down the straight either. So JB in a bit of a pickle here, because he's got to make sure he doesn't lose 3 seconds to Tier. But that Williams is looking pretty speedy as he searches for a podium today, as now Lawrence sets the fastest lap, takes it off Darth, but I'm sure Darth is going to pit again before the end and try and take it back.
Yeah, I mean, he's so far back now. He can pit and get the fastest out. He'll pit for some soft tyres and toward the end of the race and get the fastest out. Make sure he does it within good time as well. There's been plenty of times where I've done it at the wrong time, or I've done it when I've been at the back and then been lapped, so I couldn't have said it anyway. So I mean, things you've got to think about when you're a racing driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, another thing that's got to be thought about is the collision between the championship rivals, Mr. J-Man and Lawrence at turn 4. And if Mr. J-Man ends up getting a penalty for that, he could, well, he obviously lose out on the race win, but remember Femi could get a penalty for the qualifying incident. So it's still well up in the air who wins this race, to be honest, after the stewards. Obviously we've got to focus on what's happening on track, but I think the stewards' results are going to be pretty important for this race.
Yeah, you're getting anything but a quiet night if you're one of the stewards.
Oh, Mr. J-Man spun!
Oh, J-Man's lost it out of turn 3! That's completely unexpected, and he's going to drop behind Tier and JBS Steve now, and he's only got a few laps to really regain it. He's been going 28 laps saying, don't bottle it, don't bottle it, don't bottle it, and it finally came.
Oh, it's a disaster. Absolute disaster. That's a huge number of points that he has just thrown away. It's, I mean, he was running P2, could have been P1. If he finished P1, that is 7 points he's just thrown away, and how crucial could that be? Because he's only going to gain, as it stands, 3 points on Darth Nihilus. So, wow, that is a massive, massive moment for Mr. J-Man. Could be championship defining.
Yeah, penalties could be what defines this race. I mean, you know, depending on the penalty, if he does get one that Femi Frustmaster has coming his way, JBS Steve could be the winner in this race.
Yep. He could well be. So it's still all up for grabs here in this Hungarian Grand Prix. Tier is looking good though. He's got obviously the 3-second penalty to contend with, but yeah, he hasn't really extended that gap to JB all that much. The Ferrari's doing a fantastic job at staying with him despite being out of that DRS range at the moment. And I'm just looking at gap to leader because Mr. J-Man is just about at that 10-second range between himself and Femi, and the usual penalty for quali blocking is 10 seconds. So we will see.
Yeah, we certainly will. So it's all going to come down to, well, the race is going to be decided off the track, it seems. We don't like to see the races decided off the track. We want to battle all the way to the end, but sometimes it's just the way it goes at the moment. The closest fight at the minute is JBS Steve and Tier, who've been at it for the last few laps as well. We've got 6 laps left of this race. Is it? Yes. No. Well, it will be once Femi crosses the line, I think. And yeah, we've had plenty of action here, despite the low grid numbers.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing with Tier 2. It doesn't matter how small the grid is, we still get great racing. Obviously, we want to see a better grid, and it's just been difficult to achieve this season, to be honest. We are getting new drivers trickle in, but not at the rate we want. So it is a shame, and obviously it's a shame for people watching as well. But I hope it's still fantastic action that everyone can still enjoy. As Darth Nihilus indeed into the pits, I'm sure will be for soft tyres as he goes in search of the fastest lap to at least not even lose a point to Lawrence this race.
Krauser has been on these hard tyres for 26 laps. Is he going to go to the end on these tyres, Ghost?
I think so. There's no reason not to, even if he has damage. Lawrence is 5 seconds, well, 4.5 seconds behind him at the moment, with a 3-second penalty. I think Lawrence, I think Krauser, as long as he doesn't get a puncture, his tyres have got a couple of blisters on them, I have to say, but without a puncture, I think it's a comfortable 5th place finish, and especially with Mr. J-Man's spin, that's big points for Ferrari today in their hunt after Red Bull. If it finishes like it is now, JB will be 2nd, so that would be 20 points, 35 points to Ferrari compared to 16 for Red Bull. The gap's 39, so it would come down to nearly half that.
Yeah, I was asking that question, you know, round 3, round 4 of this championship. You know, could Red Bull be beaten? They had such a great start. Femi Fussmaster, 3-second time penalty. So that's possibly going to add to the penalty that's looming over him from the stewards as well. So not helping his campaign for this race win at the moment. But yeah, you know, the question has been since the beginning of the season: can Red Bull be stopped? And races like this, where you know, there's only one Red Bull in the race, and that one Red Bull happens to bottle it at a crucial stage of the race as well. And it's just losing points unnecessarily. And Ferrari have been on a great run of form. Actually, they've not been winning races as they per se, but they've been in the right place at the right time to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers among the field. And it's going to happen again. You know, Krauser 3 times on the podium. JBS Steve's going to continue the streak, at least for Ferrari, finishing in P3, but it'll be P2 and maybe even P1.
Could well be. I'm just keeping an eye on fastest lap. 4/10 Darth Nihilus needs to find on his previous best in order to beat Lawrence's effort for fastest lap. He's just found 2.5 tenths in sector 1, but he went wide at turn 4, so we will see if he does manage to beat it wide again at that corner, but he's half a second up. That's what he needs to be, and he could find the fastest lap here as long as he doesn't bottle it in these last couple of corners, which would be the extra point, and that's going to be critical for championship. It will mean he doesn't lose any points to Lawrence today, and it will mean he only loses 2 to Mr. J-Man, and there we go, there it is, an 18.5. So will Lawrence now come into the pits and try and duel for that fastest lap, or will he continue to go after Krauser and hope that he can pull 3 seconds?
That is the question indeed, and the gap at the moment. Yeah, I mean, Lawrence could come in and still be ahead of Darth Nihilus, but Lawrence is closing in on Krauser. But he'll have to clear 3 seconds of the Ferrari as well. So, and there's not too many laps left of this race, 3 laps remaining as Femi Fussmaster has just started lap 33. So Lawrence has got a decision to make. Does he come into the pits for 1 extra point, or does he get past the Ferrari and break 3 seconds for 1 extra point?
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's got to make that decision. And he doesn't have much ERF left, so honestly I think the better play is to come in for fastest lap, but obviously it's not guaranteed, and you could still bottle it trying to go for fastest lap, so it's, I mean, either way carries risk, but Lawrence is going to be looking to get past Krauser on this lap, and then he's going to have to find 3 seconds with now already aging medium tyres as Krauser goes deep, and loses some time, and Lawrence could be down the inside. He is indeed. Crozer, a bit of an error. I think he definitely has damage on that Ferrari. I'm sure he does. And Lawrence is through, and now he's got 2.5 laps to gain 3 seconds. I think he's going to do it sooner. I don't think he'll have too much trouble doing that.
Yeah, he's got the tyre life. Kraus has been on those tyres for 29 laps with damage on that Ferrari as well. Well, possible damage, we don't actually know. It's a shame we can't see any sort of telemetry from them of the car or anything like that. I mean, again, I think spectator mode leaves a lot to the imagination. I think it really does. I mean, especially with the rise of esports and commentating. Lawrence comes in. He's coming in for fastest lap.
He's gone for it. Fastest lap he goes for. There we go. Soft tyres. Maybe he thinks that he's going to get that penalty from Darth. And he's seen that Darth has gotten a 3-second penalty for track limits. So he thinks, right, well, if I'm going to get a penalty from that contact anyway, I'm not going to pull 8 seconds to Crozer, so I might as well have a go at fastest lap. So that's what he's doing, but he's going to have to save some ERS to do it. He doesn't have a lot left in the tank, and we'll see. But Darth's in as well. He's seen Lawrence in, so it's a straight duel for fastest lap between these two championship rivals.
Yeah, Matthias is also coming for soft tyres. I'm not sure he'll get the fastest lap, but you never know. I've seen stranger things happen at the moment, so there could be a battle between both McLarens and Lawrence for fastest lap in the dying stages of this race. We've not really got any on-track action in terms of close battles, although Mr. J-Man is creeping ever closer to the back of JBS Steve. That could potentially be your fight for the race win here this evening, and J-Man has actually closed in. Did he get DRS? No,
not quite. Oh, there we go. So onto the final lap goes Femi. Mr. J-Man 9.2 seconds down on the race leader. And then Crozer a further long way back there, but he's going to be perfectly happy with 5th place, I think, today. He's not going to be happy the way he's achieved it, just sort of a Sunday drive around the Hungaroring for 40 minutes, but, you know, he's still going to be pleased to get those 15 points, and for Ferrari it could be all the more crucial for the Constructors' Championship battle. As here we go, Lawrence is going to start his final lap and his attempt at fastest lap, and so is Darth in a few seconds time.
I think this has got to go Darth's way. I mean, he's got more ERS in the tank, he's got a bit more to play with at the moment. Matthias is lighting up the timing boards at the moment. He's a second up on his fastest lap at the moment, and he's just behind Fenny as well, so he has been lapped as the McLaren, but a bit of a mistake there perhaps. But around the final corner for the final time here this evening, Femi Thrustmaster will take the win, at least on track, but it will be decided in the stewards room. He celebrates not knowing the fate that awaits him. Tier's going to come home in P2 on track, but I think it's going to go the way of JBS Steve, who's done an incredible job to get himself on the podium this evening. He's been in the right place at the right time. J-Man misses out by 900ths of a second on a position on the podium, but I think there'll be some penalties and some stewarding decisions that go the way. But let's ride on board then. Krause is going to just cross the line. 32 laps on the hard tyres. Well done from him. Let's see, Lawrence fastest in Sector 2 at the moment. Darth Hillis is making his way through Sector 2 right now. Let's see, around the final couple corners comes Lawrence. He's almost like qualifying all over again, but this one's for at least one extra point. Lawrence is going to come across the line. Is it fastest lap for the Mercedes, at least for now? Yes, it is. It's a 1 minute 18.1 from the Mercedes at the moment. Darth Hillis making his way around Sector 3 now. 2 corners to navigate for the McLaren. He's purple to the second sector. I think this is going to be fastest lap, Ghost.
I mean, by Sector 2 it wasn't enough, but it's all about this final sector. Here we go, down towards the line. 17, 18, just about gets it by under a tenth. And that is crucial for him in the championship fight, as he secures that extra point. It's a 2-point swing between himself and Lawrence. The gap will remain. Femi gets driver of the day and wins the race. Yeah, some interesting couple of days to come, I think, and we'll only know what the championship truly looks like next week.
Yes, for sure. Let's make our way over to the the interview pen, or the media pen, if you want to call it that. I have to change the party name to that, but we'll make our way over there. So we're going to interview the top 3. Sorry to blue screen everybody. Miss Femi Thrustmaster's for the Cameroonian driver, and his fate is in their hands. Flanking him on the podium is JBS Steve and Tyr at the moment, after a great battle between the Ferrari and the Williams. Mr. J-Man, after a spin, is going to come home in P4 after leading the race for the majority of the way, with Krauser coming home a decent P5 after finishing the race of 32 lap old hard tyres. Lawrence bottled it as well, but finishes P6, not quite getting fast this lap. Going to lose that to Daphne Hillis, the championship leader, who I don't think will be after today. We'll check that later. But P7 for Darth, Matthias in P8, and not finishing this race are Muhiti and LB Racing.
I can confirm Darth should still be championship leader after today. Just because of Lawrence not getting that fastest lap at the end, and obviously Mr. J-Man's spin, which he is going to be absolutely gutted with. If he loses this championship by any less than sort of 4 or 5 points, he is going to point to that spin as where he lost it, so we will see. But Sumo, I'll hand over to you. Femi is in the party, and go ahead with the interviews.
Femi Thrustmaster, P1 at the end of the Hungarian Grand Prix. That must be a great feeling for you. Talk us through your race.
I hated everything about that. I know I should be happy I won, but that was a technical term shit show. Yeah, qualifying was. I need to watch that back. I know I got in the way of LB. I thought I was off the driving line. But then I lost 5 places, so I couldn't drive. I ended up being back at the grid. And then I span on lap 3 maybe, and then I was back down to 8th, and I thought, nah, I hate the track anyway. This is going to be a shambles, and I don't know where that came from. When Mr. J-Man's behind me, honestly, my hands were so painful, the grip, the nerves and the sweat, hearing you two on comms talk about how stressful it must be for me. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. So I'm happy. If I lose it for penalties, shame. But so I'm happy to win, but that wasn't a fun hour and a half, put it that way.
No, I mean certainly, definitely some stress caused there behind the wheel. And let's talk about that incident in qualifying. Then talk us through that. What happened? We didn't really get the best view through there, and I think the stewards might be issuing you out quite the slap on the wrist. I think.
I hope not. I wasn't paying attention, to be honest with you. I thought I was off the driving line, and then I got hit really hard from behind from LB. It was kind of like a racing incident kind of crash. I got spun off the track and I couldn't drive. Game gave me 5 seconds. I couldn't move anywhere, so I got disqualified and put down to last. I used to watch it back. I've not seen it. It was an error on my part, but I'm hoping if there's a penalty, the fact I got sent to the back of the grid might do me a solid. You can hope.
Yeah, well, we'll see how lenient Jack and I don't know who the other steward is for Tier 2, but
love you, Jack. You're the best, Jack. You're a great steward, Jack. You're brilliant. I love you.
I mean, he was wishing for no reports today, so I don't think you're going to be in his good books this evening, considering you were one of the talking points of the race. But either way, you've been quite the familiar face on the podium, Femi Thrustmaster. It's great to see you up there again. But yeah, well done for today. A great race.
Thank you.
And hopefully the stewards aren't too harsh.
Hopefully. Either way, that was much better than I ever expected when I started 10th. So do you know what? Even if it ends up being 3rd, 4th, 5th, I'm happy. So yeah, no, that was all right. I'll go and have a beer now, I think.
Well deserved.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Well, we come to our 2nd place finisher. Is he in the party, JBS Steve? He is. Yeah, make sure your party audio settings are right. You've got to allow your voice to be shared on always allow. Cool, awesome. So, congrats on the podium today. It's a great drive from you. It looked at times that you didn't quite have the pace to keep up with a few people, but then it's sort of. I think your pace was sort of enigmatic throughout that race. It was good, and then it was slightly off, and then it was really good again. But I mean, all in all, you kept it together, and other people didn't. You stayed on track, and I think consistency was the main factor today. And you had it in truckloads. So P2.
Yeah, I'm over the moon, to be fair. Considering the season that I've had so far, it's great to be back on the podium. I think, as you said, today was just more than anything consistency. I noticed that I could kind of like stay with people. Just in certain areas, I was probably like lifting off a slight bit just to make sure that I didn't bin it, because a couple of times this season so far, I have done that where I don't need to. Austria, for example, out of the final corner. So it's just trying to be consistent, get a good result. I knew if others try and pick up penalties or have spins, I could get a good result here, and it's great to be back on the podium.
Yeah, fantastic. First podium of the season for you, and like you said, it's not been the season you were hoping for so far, but I think getting a podium on one of the more difficult tracks in the calendar has given you a confidence boost, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely, and I'm looking forward to the tracks coming up, like China. We'll have to see obviously how Baku goes, and but I'm looking forward to Brazil. But some of the tracks that were prior to this, I'm not overly confident on. So hopefully, in the final stages of the season, I can pick up some more points, and hopefully myself and Krauser can challenge Red Bull for that constructors title, and see where it leads us in the Drivers' Championship as well.
Yeah, I was just coming on to the constructors. Like you said, that's a lot of points that you've just gained on Red Bull there. So the fight could well be back on. Obviously, before this round, it was 39 points. But after this round, it could be as low as 20 or less. So obviously, still quite a big gap to overcome in 3 races, but not impossible by any means, especially if Mr. J-Man continues to have those sorts of catastrophic spins, and Lil Manny Man as well. If he can, well, obviously he wasn't here today, but if he's off the pace, then we'll see. But is the fire back to try and get that constructors title?
Definitely, and on top of what you were just saying there, I think the next race is China, then it's Baku, which I think Lil Manny Man said in chat he could make. So as long as Trouser and I can attend every race and score good points, we definitely have a good shot at it.
Absolutely. Well done today, JB. First podium of the season always feels good, and you did it in style as well. And who knows, if that penalty does come for Femi Frostmaster, you could find yourself on the top step after all. So we will see how that goes. But well done today, well-deserved podium. And hopefully we see you in this interview room again before the end of the season.
I hope so too. Cheers.
Cheers. And Sumo, I'll hand over to you for tier.
Yeah, well, I will say it was great to see JBS Steve back on the top, on the podium at least. And here we move on to you, P3 today. It was good. You had a little bit of everything in your race today. We watched a few incidents where you saved yourself quite expertly. You had the pace to fight on as well, and you finished on the podium. I mean, if it weren't for that 3-second time penalty, it could be you with a win looming over. But how was that race for you? So Femi Frostmaster has a possible 10-second time penalty looming over him for blocking it during qualifying. So Jacko and the stewards will be scratching their heads trying to deliberate that one, but that's your context for you.
I weren't expecting any of that. You can see from my, I don't know if you saw over my qualifying. That hadn't been practiced. That's why I just kept losing it. I almost lost it a couple of times in the race. I'm blaming it on my son's telly. The colour's funny. But no, after qualifying, I was just happy to finish. I could see that last couple of laps though, Mr. J-Man. That was by absolutely great. See Steve quite close to me. I see the gap coming down, and I'm trying to keep it 3 seconds. It was fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hungary not a track for you then? We saw a lot of incidents, a few moments running wide, catching the car at turn 5, and I think it was turn 11 as well.
I don't mind Hungary, I just haven't been on it because my PlayStation's gone to the shop. I haven't been on it since last Tuesday.
Gosh.
So I didn't even practice, you can see the qualifying. But yeah, can't wait to get the PlayStation back.
Yeah, I suppose when it sounds like a race that could have been then. I mean, you certainly had the pace today. I mean, yes, there wasn't all that many drivers on the grid, but a bit of practice, and it could have been in toward the top. And you had a great battle with JBS Steve there as well. It was good to see you two going at it as well. Yeah, I mean, you're not too far away from the championship lead tier. I mean, you're certainly an outlier in the championship, but is there any ambition? Hopefully not.
Yes.
Yeah, it is China next, yes. Well, hopefully it won't, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to butt in. Well, Tier, I mean, if the race results end how they are now, that will be 18 points for you, and you'll be on 93, which is just 9 points behind the championship leader as it stands. So you never know. You never know. It's a lot better than last season, absolutely. 3 rounds to go. Anything can happen. Baku is basically a complete lottery half the time. So you never know. Don't give up. Absolutely.
I mean, the running theme of this season is, in these interviews especially, has been you've got to be in it to win it, and Tier, you're certainly in it.
I think the main thing this season is I've been finishing, except for 2 races, but finishing a lot more races.
Yeah.
Maybe if I had a few front wing changes, at least I'll finish.
Yeah, exactly. The finishing is all what it's about.
Especially with the smaller grids out.
Yeah, precisely.
Every cloud and its silver linings, I suppose. But P3 today, well done to you. It was a great race, and well done for not putting it in the wall. Oh dear. Right then, so that is going to be round 7 all done and dusted now. As we have said a couple times now, round 8 will be taking place at the Shanghai International Circuit in China, a track we've not seen for a little while in the real Formula 1, and it'll be a shame to miss it again in the 2023 season, but we'll bring you some action from Shanghai. And we'll move on to driver of the day before we get too carried away at the moment, Ghost. And I think there's one candidate that stands out to me, Ghost, and that's JBS Steve.
I couldn't agree more. Just drove a consistent race. Never bottled it at any point. I mean, yes, Femi won the race, but obviously the incident early on at I think it was lap 1 when he got spun round, and but JB always kept it going, had good pace throughout the race, didn't get a penalty. I think it's got to go to him.
Yeah, 100%. JBS Steve, then you are driver of the day. Congratulations for that. But yes, that's going to wrap everything up for us now then here in Tier 2. We're going to join you again at the exact same time next week for a race around China as the championship continues to go down ever closer to a hopefully climactic end, with all these drivers fighting it out for the top step of the Drivers' Championship. Are there any more points to add, Ghost?
I don't think so. I mean, 9 points between, let me have a quick check. Yeah, it's going to be 9 points between, I think, 5 drivers for the Drivers' Championship. So it's all to play for as we head into the last 3 rounds, especially with tracks like Baku coming up, which, I mean, at best is basically a complete lottery as to who wins.
Yes, so there's plenty of action still left on the cards, and if you want to catch on to any and all of that action, then please do be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying the racing that you are seeing here. All of the support does go a very long way as I continue my foray into commentary and getting a little bit more versed in the art form itself. And make sure you've liked the stream if you've not done already. All of the support really does go a long way, and I'm very grateful for it indeed. But I'm going to wrap things up now. We're going to join you next week for a race in China, but for now I have been Sumo.